actually is passed on and make sure it's delivered properly to all of you guys. So today's Wednesday, June 20th. I'm on the phone with Patrick. We're going to do a little role playing on basic ticketing 101 as well as call routing protocols at Motiva. So good morning, Patrick.
Good morning, Walter. How are you doing today?
Good, bud. So let's talk a little bit about Dispatch Portal and kind of how that document talked to you a little bit about, how Caroline's going to flow that phone call, right? So Caroline is basically doing call routing. She's going to gather the information from the customer. She's going to create a ticket, and she's going to put some basic notes, about the ticket itself. So from that point forward, you are to be on your My Calendar screen, right? Is this where you live, or how do you live right now? And what I mean by that is, like, what do you have open?
Of course. I have the service board open and my calendar open as well. Both.
Perfect. So here's how I live. When I'm a tech, this is where I live. I got my service board open, right? I'm on the service board, always open. I got my new service ticket open, just in case I will ever need to create a ticket. And I got my IT glue open, and I'm ready to rock and roll. When I come in, these are like the first three things I do. The other thing I do is I open my Chat Assist. Are you familiar with the Chat Assist process?
Yes. Yes, I am.
Okay. Are you logged into Chat Assist currently?
Right now, no. I have not opened the remote session yet. Usually that's the first thing I do. I jumped in the call when I came in.
Okay, so let's go over that real quick. So first thing first. So number one, ConnectWise, manage, in respective tabs, such as service board, new ticket, and more importantly, my calendar, right? Because you can pick up, and I'll show you in a little bit how you're going to pick up things from there, okay? The other thing I have is logged in to LabTech. And lastly, logged in to Chat Assist. Right, so those are my three main things. By the way, I'm using the browser version of ConnectWise. Okay, and that's okay.
Right.
You can have this on one side and IT Glue on the other. That's kind of how I operate. I got this, my schedule on one side, and I have IT Glue on the other, and I have LabTech open in the back end, right? So let me just open LabTech real quick. And it's on my other screen, so I'm not sure if you see it, but it's okay. I'll bring it in a second. So far, you're with me, correct?
Yes, I am.
Okay, great. So, because I'm on the My Calendar screen, right? As tickets come in for me, this is where they will appear. So let's do a test one real quick, just so that you understand what's happening. So Caroline is going to open the company. She's going to talk to the customer, right? She's going to do some basic knowledge. So let's say I'm calling from Walter from Motiva, right? So I'm looking at Walter. It's the contact from Motiva Networks. Click on the guy. And this is basically what Caroline is doing. She's going into manage, and she's creating a ticket, correct? So far, you know this process.
Yes, that's right.
Perfect. So she goes to service ticket, because she's here, she's asking questions like, is this an existing ticket? Is this something that you were working with somebody? Blah, blah, blah. So maybe it's a new ticket. So we go to new ticket. We create a new service ticket. And this is a test, Patrick ticket. And, she'll go through the closed loop process. I'm defaulted to the sales board, but, service board, she's going to change it in progress. Maybe she had to put somebody else. Right? And it's going to have you as a resource. Okay? And she's going to literally look at the dispatch portal. This is what she has open. This is what she has open to see what your day is like. She's looking at all these guys. So she sees Patrick. She says, oh, okay, it's almost it's 10:47. Patrick has nothing on it. So she's going to assign it to you at 10:50, okay? Or whatever. She can do it anytime. Yeah. But let's say 10:50, right? So she goes here. She says, today at 10:50. The default time is 0.5 for service tickets. This is a remote, obviously. It's going to remind you 15 minutes prior. When she hits, she's going to put some notes here originally on the description. Customer called and required help with monitor with VPN or whatever, right? So unable to log in from home, right? She's going to get something. And then by the time she hits save and close, a couple of things are happening. The first one she gets this little pop-up screen that sends you a note. Okay? So here's which this goes directly to the internal portion of the ticket. So she can hear up to say, Patrick, client is angry. Please proceed with caution, right?
Okay.
Or anything, right? Please help him. He's the owner, right? Or something, right? She can choose to send it to everybody on all the resources entirely, but the default is yourself, okay? And you're going to get this email, but again, if you don't have Gmail enabled with notifications, you won't see it. What we're working on is that we're eventually going to have a Slack modification. It's going to have it's going to create like a ticket on Slack. So hopefully that will work really nice. But we'll see. We're working on that. But for right now, you really don't need it because as you can see, the ticket is here, right? And if you look at I'm just going to change it to you, okay? Just so that you see what. If you were looking at your today, right? This is what happens. The ticket appears on your today as soon as you hit refresh. Or I have changed this, by the way, to 5 minutes, so you should do that. And it refreshes automatically every 5 minutes. So if you do that, you can see that the ticket that Caroline just assigned to you, it's right here, right? So that's wonderful because you can just refresh and it's right there. A couple of things from here, Patrick. You can right click on this ticket and you have several options. So let's say you started working with this ticket right away, right? And maybe you wanted to look at it. Maybe you just needed to enter time right away, right? Or maybe you needed to, the customer hang up and when you call them back, they say, you know what, call me at noon. So you can edit the time entry and just change it to, noon, right?
Right.
And when you do that, the ticket moves down to noon. You could also move it down by just moving it, right? And same thing. This is popping up for me because I'm the one using your system. But if you're moving it yourself, it's obviously not going to ask you to send yourself an email. You know what's happening. So, but so far you understand this method?
Great. No, I understand this perfectly. And this is great because if you have to do a callback, then you just drag the entry.
You just drag and drop.
Yeah.
Yeah, and that's why I live inside my, my calendar day. Like under my favorites, I go to my calendar And I also have, which you should have as well, under my account, I have enabled the auto. I don't have it enabled by default because I don't do a lot of this, but I have the auto pop-up and the auto start. So by doing so, right, when I get out of here, I'm just going to refresh this. If I was going to work on this ticket and I go to open it, remember, these are the metrics that I look at based on your performance, right? How much ticket time entry you put in, how quickly the ticket was resolved, you know, what was the nature of the ticket. I'm not concerned about how fast you did it because that's not a thing for me, but I'm concerned about how efficient that was. So you notice that because I have enabled those two options under my account, this stopwatch immediately popped up and timing immediately began to count. So I can, you know, don't get used to creating like notepads or all these other things that technicians like to do.
Right.
Because then you have to bring them into the system to copy them and stuff. That's double work. Do your notes on this stopwatch note. In fact, you can start looking at the ticket right here and say, okay, customer is asking about a VPN from home. So while you're on the phone, you're speaking to your customer, you pick up the park and you say, hi, this is Patrick. How are you, Mr. William? Oh, great, Patrick. Thank you for picking up the call. Great. So I see here that you're having an issue with VPN. Can you tell me a little bit about, a little more about what's going on? Are you working from your house? So the customer says, yes, I'm working from home. So you put here work from home. And has this VPN worked before? Yes, it has VPN worked before, right? And you're taking your notes, you're conversing with you're talking to the customer, and you can save this as a draft. But the clock continues to tick. Why is that important to you? Because how I am going to look at your performance, Patrick, is to see your time utilization. And over time, you know, the first month or so, I'm going to walk over with you each Saturday about how I read the time entries and time sheets. And I'm going to teach you how I do these metrics because those are my expectations on how I look at your performance on a weekly basis. So we're going to talk about timesheets this weekend, and we're going to make sure that you understand how important it is to put these times entries correctly. So by the system keeping track of your time, you never have to worry about, oh my God, you know, I forgot to put my time entries, which is a very easy thing to fall back because you're using the excuse of, oh, I'm just taking care of the customer. The time entries and taking care of the customer are just important, just as important. Right? Because you need to document what it is that this customer went through and what it is that you did. And you don't have to write a book, right? This is not IT Glue here. This is not IT Glue where you're documenting the process on how the customer actually was fixed. This is just a quick note of what you did so that if your team needs to look back, if this customer called back and said, oh, you know, my VPN's not working, it's going to say, what did you do to fix it? So far, are you clear with this?
Yes. Yes, I am.
Okay. So now you're speaking with the customer, and now you're going to full conversation one-on-one with the customer, right? So you go onto IT Glue. Maybe you are under the company, right? And you go to, you look at the site, maybe you want to look at a document, maybe they have a remote access. This particular customer doesn't, but let's take a look at one that does, right? And just FYI on IT Glue, we're going over putting these type of notes on the system. These are very important to you because you may have the actual owner of the company on the phone. And obviously that conversation is a lot different than if it was just an employee, right? You wanna do better. You wanna do a better phone call. Also, you know, we put these announcements. If the customer hasn't paid or whatever, it's all in here. Actually, if the customer hasn't paid, it wouldn't even let Caroline create a ticket. So just so you know, these are very good informations on each customer so that you can get an idea about what's going on, right? So this customer has a remote access VPN setup. And you can see here that there is a related item, how to log in using web browser, right? Here's the document. So this is an IT glue. And we're going to talk about this later. But so now you're in full-blown troubleshooting mode, correct?
Yes.
And you went through the process, you figured it out, you got the customer up and running, and based on this IT glue document called based on this document, you're going through the process and you're doing the sign off, right? Have I resolved your issue? Blah, 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 the whole thing. This is easier for you because you've done this before. So I'm going to skip that. But this is very clear to you how you sign off.
Yes.
So you finish your ticket, right? And now you're ready to complete this. Notice how the time has not stopped. And by the way, this doesn't mean that you can't have another ticket or another, my calendar screen open, right? And working on a secondary ticket. That doesn't mean that you can't be doing two things or maybe even taking a chat assist, right? So, because that's why the performance and the whole thing has got to be measured. So you have a ticket going here and you're ready to close it, okay? I want to make sure that you understand the differences between these tabs, because that's really, really important. So the first thing I always look at is my closed loop, right? Who is getting this message out? Who am I getting this message out to that I don't have to call all three people to let them know that I resolved this problem, right? Maybe the manager was part of this group and they wanted to say, and they wanted to be in touch and know that the employee they have working from home is actually operating. So you go here and you add that, that team member, right? Either a team member that exists or even an external address for a vendor or something like that. So those are the first things I look at, then I look at my resources, and then I'm ready to put time. So the discussion is usually the first initial entry of time or record, either by Caroline taking those notes, or when we get a ticket from, when a ticket has come in from email connector and the customer sent an email to support@motiva.net, that information will be here, okay? That's a discussion. And if let's say you were conversating, you didn't get in touch with a customer, but the ticket's not resolved yet, that's where you will put your note going back to the customer. So discussion and resolution are very similar in the sense that these two, anything you put here goes to the customer and the closed loop people, okay? Internal, however, it's only for our purposes. The customer does not see that. We are the only ones that see this. So if you want to put another note, customer was mad or happy or whatever, you keep adding them here under internal. Maybe you want to leave a note for somebody you assigned this ticket to. Maybe you were going home and Vidal was going to close this ticket for you in an hour when the customer was ready, right? And you have assigned Vidal to it and you leave him a note as to what it is. That's where that goes. Is that clear to you?
Yes, it is clear.
You have any questions so far?
So far, no. I think that I understand better now exactly how to manage the resources. It was kind of confusing at first, but it is all coming, together. And getting into more calls, it just makes it easier to get used to.
Perfect. Absolutely. Perfect. The other thing I want to make sure you understand here is that you're the ticket owner, okay? What does that mean? That means that you own this ticket. That means that when Walter gets a phone call from this customer that this has not been done, There's only one person I'm asking what's going on, and that is you. You can assign it. You can ask a peer to reboot a computer later on or to do something for you, right? But ultimately, who I'm tracking as far as KPI is concerned is Patrick. So if this ticket, for whatever reason, went over to the next day and you didn't close it, that's Patrick who I'm going to ask that question to, because I get a notification. If for whatever reason you said, oh, you know, I had to go home, I had a stomach ache, I'm sick, well, you're still the ticket owner. Your job is to either make sure somebody's going to cover you or you have to get it done somehow. Does that make sense, Patrick?
Yes, sir. Yes.
Okay. So lastly, I'm ready to close my ticket. I could do two things. The easiest way to do it is I'm going to stop my time entry, my clock that's been running by itself, by the way. And look at the beauty of doing that. If you're doing that, you don't have to worry about thinking about putting time. It already does that for you. The other thing is that the note that you started to type already appears. So you're ahead of the game. So now you can put the final note. I went ahead, you know, whatever, right? I went ahead and assisted client to reset VPN software. There was an Internet Explorer update that erased the settings we have tested, and all is working correctly. Whatever you want to put here. The last thing you have to make sure that you select resolution because you resolve these tickets. Right? This is the only time you have to make sure that you check one of the options where it's going to post. Right? And by the way, if you want to attach a picture or a screenshot of, look, client, this is how you do this, or here are the steps to whatever, or here's the web page, you should look for that. This is how you do it. You can put it here. You can put, obviously, the URL here. You can attach a picture or a document from here. Okay?
Yes. Very
Just a side note, Patrick, the web version of ConnectWise Manage does not allow you to copy-paste images. So that's why it's good to, hold on. That's why it's good to have the actual app open, because I'll show you a trick. By the way, I'm gonna change this to close, okay? This is a close ticket. And I have confirmed with the customer on the phone that this is working, so it's close confirmed. These three, as you know, these three are what I keep an eye on. Close to review, close confirm, and close message. We'll talk about it in a second. So when I do the app, right, and you're on it, on whatever ticket, right? I just want to show you a quick trick. And let's say you're doing a time entry, right?
Right.
You see how it says here, paste for clipboard?
Oh, nice.
So let's say I use this program called Snagit, and I took a picture or something, right? I took a picture of whatever, this thing. And then I said, you know, customer, click here, or I did a step 1, step 2 kind of thing, right? And then I said copy, right? And if I do paste from clipboard, you give it a name of instructions, let's say, or whatever you want to give it. And you do Control V, and the image is pasted. So now that instructions image is pasted to the ticket. So now you can say, as per image below, step, 1, click here, 2, press there. You follow what I'm saying?
Yes.
But you could only paste an image like that when you're using the app. So I usually have the app open on one side and ConnectWise manage web browser on the other because I like to use these features.
Correct.
Does that make sense?
Yes, sir. Yeah.
Let me just disable this for me because I do not use this. For you, it's great though. You have any questions so far, Patrick?
No, not so far.
Okay. So finally, when you're closing the ticket, you make sure that you change the status to close confirm. This is the status that I keep track of the most. If you're doing close message, that means that you were not able to get the customer to confirm that you fixed this problem. And that for me is an issue because it's an unknown whether the customer is working or not. So that's why close confirm is the correct status because you had called or on the same phone call you had confirmed that it's working for them. Okay?
Right.
Close
So
review.
Ideally, will always be close confirmed.
Absolutely. That's what you're aiming for. That's your game changer, right? Because that's the one I keep track of. If you have if you have your goal, let's say 60 tickets a week, right? And you had 50 that will close confirm, and 5 that will close review, and 5 that will close message, you know what that's telling me? That's telling me that you're a gangster. That's telling me that you are following procedures and that you are excelling at making sure that your customer is informed at all times about the procedures and about the closing of those tickets.
Okay.
Is that clear?
Yes. Very clear.
Perfect. Okay, so I'm just going to go ahead here and make sure that I'm posting to the right place, that I'm changing the status, that I'm putting the correct time. You know, maybe I ended it up too quick. I could also change. This is not set on stone until you close it. So maybe you went over the time, right? Right now it's 11:10. So you can either hit the button and that will automatically time right now, right? These buttons mean that it resets to that moment. And I usually do a time entry here as well, so that I timestamp when I put this note. So I'm close looping, I'm attaching if I need to. So this is set. All I have to do is click on save and close. Save and close. And this ticket is 100% completed. If I go to if I refresh my today screen, I can go hover over this, and this is how I like to see them. Close, confirm.
Great.
Okay. So let's talk about instances and other items that will occur. Let's say you were leaving for the day and you were talking to a customer and they say, hey, Patrick, why don't you do this for me when I leave for work? And you're going to say, absolutely, sir. I'll be more than happy to schedule that. But you had to leave, right?
Right.
You had to leave. So I'm going to open it. I'm going to reopen it again so we do the same ticket. So let's pretend that it was not closed, that it was just in progress. And you know the difference between save and close and just save, right? You just save, you just stay on the same screen. Save and close gets you back out to the previous screen. So here's a customer, and they say, you know what, Patrick, can you do this later for me? And you said, absolutely. and it was just a reboot, right? And you talk to Richard, you talk to David, you talk to your peers, and Vidal leaves later, right? And you said to Vidal, is it possible for you to help me with something at 6 o'clock and you restart this computer, right?
Right.
So here's what you're going to do. You're going to, first of all, obviously, you will be the resource, right? So you will be like this, and you were probably working today on this computer, right? So you were here, and the customer said to you, "Can you do that?" And you said to Vidal, or you said to Richard, "I need to reboot this computer at 5 p.m. Can I ask Vidal to do it?" He says, "Yes, absolutely." Vidal says, "Yes, absolutely." And now you have confirmed, and you go here and you say, "You know what? I'm going to ask Vidal today at 6 p.m. remotely." When I click on save, it's going to give me this option. I'm going to say, "Vidal, as per our conversation, please reboot PC for me. Thanks." You send it. Now, a couple of things here, Patrick. This is where most of our technicians have had issues. And I just want to make sure that you're 100% clear. Number one, you're still the owner of this ticket.
Right.
So that means that, yes, Vidal can reboot it. He's going to put a note that he rebooted or maybe not, right? But who really has to confirm that this has been done is you. Now, look, I am an overachiever, right? I don't leave things to believe or something. I want to make sure that what I do gets done. So if I tell a customer I'm rebooting and making sure, if I was you, I will put myself for later. Or for the next day, I come in at 8 o'clock, I will put myself at 8 a.m. And I will remind myself, because as you know, if I put myself for 8 a.m. tomorrow, right?
Right.
This also goes to my Google Calendar. This also goes to my calendar, right? I mean, I work mostly from my calendar. So if I look at my calendar for tomorrow, look at what happens. Here's my ticket. So when I come in the morning and I'm looking at my calendar for the day, I know that I got to go here and I got to go look at what's going on with this thing. Or maybe, right, because this is me, Patrick, I just don't leave things to destiny. I know Walter's going to be looking at my performance and I want more money, man. I'm hungry, you know? So I'm gonna get a 605 and I'm going to say, "Hey, Vidal, how did the restart go?" Right? And he's going to reply. He's going to tell you, "Oh, it's all done. Perfect. There's no more, you don't have to worry about it." Right? It's done. Tomorrow morning when I come in, I just got to make sure the first thing I do is I call that customer to check. If I can't get the customer on the phone, I put a quick message. "Hey, your computer was rebooted last night. Just want to make sure everything is working good. Please call us if you have any questions." And it's just a quick follow-up call at 9 o'clock, right? That's the kind of finessing that I'm looking to do in the ticket. That's the kind of responsibility that I'm looking for you to do and to have within the ticket.
Yes, that assures that everyone's accountable for their own tickets. Yes.
Correct. And again, I just go, to the resolution tab. I can put time from here. I can put time from anywhere, right? I can do opening screen and just put time, whatever works for you. Okay. You should really be proficient at entering time because that's your life. That's, it's like me not knowing how to use my sales software, right? If I don't make a sale, you know what I'm saying. If this is the one thing that feeds your family, feeds your income, and this is the one thing we do most of the times on Motiva, I'm going to learn that to the best of my ability. I'm going to become the best time entry ticketing person in the history of ticketing entry, of time entry. Does that make sense? I'm making a joke, but you understand what I'm saying.
Of course I am. Yeah. I mean, that's exactly what we're aiming for.
Right. Okay. So live on my calendar view. Have all your tabs open for your, IT glue and all that stuff. And just go ahead and close your tickets and follow them through until completion. All the way to the end. It's a race to the end of the ticket. And you will have no issues here, my friend. You will be very successful. You don't do any of those, we're going to have a lot of issues.
Yes.
But I have confidence in you that you will do fine. Lastly, I just want to talk to you about IT Glue. If you don't have any questions with the flow of that ticket, I want to talk to you about IT Glue.
Yes. No.
Basically, what we are looking to do is for you to document all the steps you're taking when you're fixing a ticket, that it's an important ticket, and that you have done some research on it. Okay, just like that VPN, how to create a VPN user for a company, right? We're looking to do the same for tickets that are difficult. And we have this thing in IT Glue. This is part of your KPIs as well. And I'm going to give you extensive training on this also, but I'm just introducing you to it. So it's in your head. We have this thing in IT Glue called contributions. I'm sorry. Give me one second. Engagement. You see that?
Yes.
I track engagements of who is a creator of IT Glue. That tells me a lot about a team member. It tells me a lot about a team member because it tells me that the team member is engaged into helping the rest of the team. If you went ahead and you figured out how to fix a QuickBooks problem, right? You should document that. Make a document, share it, put it in IT Glue, give it the right name. And we'll, have you taken training with IT Glue, by the way?
Yes.
Okay. You went through Freddie's checklist for the IT Glue?
Yes, sir.
Okay. So, I track IT Glue engagements. And this is really important. As you can see, Ray, it's already killing it. He's right underneath David. And you started doing some stuff also, right?
Yeah.
So these things are very important to me. See that? Tells me how you log it in and all the stuff. I have a program that actually tracks that stuff. So
nice.
Engage, create, share with your team. That is extremely, extremely important. See, Ray's already creating documents. He created an external document. Maybe he needs to go back and look at it. He created one, and we told him what to do. So, that collaboration, it's really, really important, okay? And that the collaboration is done right, obviously. But just go do some tickets. Practice makes you better. I am here for you. I am available to you. If you have questions, reach out to me, ask me before assuming that is the right answer. I would recommend you to engage with your team. David is extremely knowledgeable. Freddie is extremely knowledgeable. Your local team is extremely knowledgeable. And as a whole, we are very knowledgeable. But if you don't use us, we cannot help you. That is the message on this call. Okay, my friend?
Yes, sir. Thank you very much.
All right, man. I wish you all the best. Good luck.
Thanks. Good luck.
Thank you.
Bye. You're welcome.